Hi, welcome to City Vision University's Introduction to Entrepreneurship course. I'm Andrew Sears. I'm going to give you an overview of the course. I want to start off and explain how this course helps you become a more balanced leader and manager. So you've probably seen this in some other courses we offer. Most people will major in one of these domains. This is what they fall into naturally. So I'm an entrepreneur. I love this quadrant, the entrepreneurial skills quadrant. But to become a good manager, I've had to learn all four quadrants. So if you're an operations person, one of the things you're going to find is that entrepreneurial stuff might be a lot harder for you. Just like for me, operations and accounting is a lot harder. And then you have ministry skills. So these are the frontline ministries people, and these are the business people often doing fundraising. So what we do is we offer courses across all these domains. So in the ministry skills, you have things like cross-cultural ministry and human resources. This is all the relational competencies. And then here you have the business and funding competencies. So marketing, grant writing, fundraising. And here you have the operational competencies. So financial accounting, project management, board governance. And in this quadrant is the entrepreneurial competencies, and this course is focused on introduction to entrepreneurship. So it's worth noting that this course is kind of a complement to social entrepreneurship. This takes a business plan approach, whereas social entrepreneurship takes what's called a business model approach. And the difference is a business plan is going to be better where you're able to plan things out, whereas a business model might, if you're creating an entire new domain of businesses, like if you're, doing a restaurant, that's not a new category of businesses. But if you're creating Uber, you need to create a whole new business model. So then the other type of category of courses we have is our introduction and capstone courses. This course will be most helpful for you if you've taken introduction to business. It may be challenging for you if you haven't. You can take it without it, but this is going to assume that you have some basics of understanding of introduction to business. If you haven't taken it, I think most of you will still be able to do well in this course, but you might just need to do a little more reading, a little more homework, a little more looking up extra articles. So the other thing about this course is recognizing our educational philosophy. We use an educational philosophy called the Constructionist approach to learning. And basically the idea behind that is it's project-based learning. You learn by constructing something. So in this, you're going to be constructing a business plan. So all the content is kind of secondary. And, what I would recommend each week is you start with essentially the business plan component for that week. And then you look at the content that you'll need to do that assignment well. So if you understand where the finish line is, then you're going to understand how the content might help support that better. And, it's also just worth stating that building a business plan is not the same as building a business. It's just a tool to help you learn the concepts and help you plan. So as you do this course, you're going to get videos, you're going to get reading, you'll have, tools and templates, and you'll have discussions. All that is going to help feed into the major project. So one of the first things you should do on the course is go to the course introduction lesson. You click on lessons, and then you'll see a course introduction lesson. So you go to that, then you go to step 4, and you can find the business plan final project template. And then you can go through and read that. So let me next go into what the course outcomes. So the course outcomes, after you complete this course, you should be able to, in week 1, you're going to be focused on describing what entrepreneurship is and what a Christian approach to entrepreneurship is. Then week 2, we're going to explain the purpose of a business plan and help you write your company's description. And one of the most important things in this course to recognize is you're going to have to pick some sort of company idea. It doesn't have to be something you're really going to do, but it needs to be something that is for profit, or in a nonprofit, it needs to be focused on earned income. So you can't just say, I'm going to have a program that's going to serve the homeless, unless there's a way that you're going to be, say you have a kitchen, a catering business that you're going to have at your, rescue mission or shelter, and then that's going to bring in earned income. So be sure that you pick something that has earned income, or else a lot of the assignments in the course will not make sense. So then you're going to go in and develop a product strategy. So say you did it at a restaurant, you'll come up with what are the items on your menu. You're going to do some customer research. You're going to do competitive research to help you determine the business's strategic positioning and value proposition. So, City Vision, we decided that we're going to focus our value proposition is we're very focused on Christian organizations serving the poor and the addicted. And we're going to be very affordable, extremely practical, and that's at the core. And there's more to our value proposition, but that's kind of the idea. Then you're going to design a marketing plan that includes product, price, place, and promotion. And then you're going to create plans for operations, management, and staffing. You're going to conduct the analysis needed for a financial plan. And then in week 8, you're going to combine all of that into a final business plan. Week 7, you're going to have a rough draft. But in week 8, you're going to combine all the components of a business plan. Now, you could take these outcomes and look at it at an outline view. What are the topics that we're covering? But basically, it's the same thing, just listed in course outline view. Now, one thing to note is all of City Vision's courses are what's considered double intensive. So you have to do twice as much work because you're doing an 8-week course rather than a 16-week course. So twice as much work per week. So plan to spend 17 hours per week for every 3-credit course. And the educational philosophy and design of this course, so you're going to have content that you're going to go through with reading and videos. Part of the reason why we provide reading and videos is there's been a lot of studies that have shown some people prefer reading, some people prefer looking at stuff on videos, but even for people who prefer one or the other, they've shown that they learn a lot better if they get both. So that's why we give you both. We try to have the videos often reinforce the reading and vice versa. So as you go through these things, take notes. If you have a book, highlight it, take notes, go through the videos, take notes as you're doing that, because you're going to need this as you're working on your business plan. Then, the first stage is to remember, right? So that's what you're trying to do. Then the next stage is to understand. So you're going to have live meetings and forums. Now, a big purpose of the live meetings and forums is going to be to help you understand the concept. So we're going to have you summarize some of what you learned in the forums, but also we want you to post your questions. The live meetings and forums are going to be opportunities where you can get coached, and also you can help your other students. So then you're going to apply, and that's where you're going to be doing a lot of the business plan concepts. This is the analysis. You're breaking it up into components. So week 2 to 7 is going to be all the business plan components. And then in week 7, you're going to evaluate your business plan to see how it fits using our rubric. And then in week 8, is going to be the creation of the final project. So the required reading is this book called Starting a Business Quick Start Guide. I've looked at over 10 different entrepreneurial, business plan books, and this is the best one I found. It's fairly simple, but very clear, and will get you to where you need to go. And lastly, I want to tell you my entrepreneurial story. So I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. Just to tell you a little of my history, I got started as a restaurant manager, a Burger King manager. At age 15, was promoted to a Burger King. Interesting enough, that was also, they were dealing drugs out of the Burger King because the head manager was on drugs and hired a bunch of people who were on drugs. So that was an interesting experience. Then I decided that was too crazy of an environment for me, and I wanted to do my own thing. So I started my own lawn care business in high school. Loved that, and then went to college. And in college, I was a social entrepreneur. I created different websites. I had what was considered by the New York Times to be the first website ever focused on information on the U.S. presidential primary, and got a lot of recognition from that. Was a social entrepreneur through student government. I co-founded a research group with one of the fathers of the internet, MIT's Internet Telephony Consortium, and learned a lot from that experience. And then I was a part of a .com startup that was called IP Fusion. I also worked as a consultant for Sprint and helped them launch their first voice over IP product. That was more of an entrepreneur. And one of the stories that is probably interesting now that everything's crazy with Zoom. So I was a business plan finalist at MIT with my startup. And there's another company that I thought that my plan was better than theirs. We were both finalists. They thought their plan was better than mine. We almost merged in the last weeks. And that company ended up, they quit school and started their company, and they ended up becoming the company called WebX. And I probably would have been the chief technology officer for that company if I had joined them. But instead, they hired another chief technology officer, and the guy who became their chief technology officer later became the founder of Zoom. So that was a story. You know, every entrepreneur has a story of the ones that got away, and you know, they sold their startup for over 300 million to Cisco, and just a couple years later. I don't regret, you know, not joining that organization, because I think God had a plan. And I look at what the CEO of Zoom's done, and I realize I could have never done what he was doing. But if you know, work as an entrepreneur for any amount of time, you're going to see there's these opportunities that are kind of the story of the one that got away. But I enjoyed what I did. And then I decided to pivot. I realized my heart was more for the community, and I launched a community computer center focused on addressing the digital divide in inner city Boston and Dorchester. And then out of that, launched the organization called Tech Mission. And you know, I describe myself as a serial social entrepreneur. So first it was Prep, then it was Tech Mission 1.0, and that was a network of over 500 Christian community computer centers to address the digital divide. And then Tech Mission 2.0 was a combination. And you know, what happens is funding for these things go away because funders are kind of, you know, they chase the latest thing. So we pivoted to being a AmeriCorps national grantee, and also doing a lot of stuff for Web 2.0. And our websites, at their peak in 2008, our websites were the third most visited of any Christian organization serving the poor, after World Vision and Salvation Army. But then we pivoted again because we realized that in the long term, government funding wasn't the best solution for us. And that's whenever we were given City Vision University. It originally was founded as Rescue College in '98, got accredited in 2005, and then we were given the school, and I became the president in 2008. It was only about 30 students. We've grown it to about 200 students, and we're continuing to grow it. And ultimately, I view City Vision University as a social entrepreneurial endeavor. And if you look at the strengths of City Vision University, I often tell people we may not always be the best in the class, so to speak, but we are often the most improved in the class. And we've been growing at 20% a year every year since we took over. And if we keep doing that, then pretty soon we're going to be substantial. So hopefully you will find this course really helpful. I love entrepreneurship, and I hope that many of you, if your quadrant is the entrepreneurial quadrant, or you know, more in the compete quadrant, you'll probably love this. If not, then just recognize that sometimes you got to practice your left hand to be your whole game to be stronger. So if you're someone who likes the details and doesn't like all this ambiguity, then this might be a little harder for you. But just put in the effort and recognize that that's you know, a part of becoming a balanced leader. So if you have any questions, please ask your faculty member. Thanks a lot.